Hello and welcome to episode 223 of First Geek 411. My name is Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, the moderate geek herself, Shanine. How are you doing?
Uh, Slightly more than moderate.
When you posted about that, I'm like, oh, we got a podcast intro. I'm ready. If people don't know what we're talking about, you can go find the conversation over on Shanine's social media. Maybe we'll discuss it a little bit in post-show chat, but this week we got some cool stuff. We are chatting spoiler-free thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and then are going to be talking about Speak Now Taylor's version getting announced. As always, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also join our Discord server if you would like to chat there. That's probably where we're most active. And then you can also send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Mountain Time, and be part of the post-show chats. Then you can also find the videos over on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to everyone that has watched the D&D spoiler cast. That one is doing pretty well, and so pretty happy about that. And then you can also find some merch over on our Redbubble store. But yeah, with that, let's jump into what we have been up to this past week. Shanine, why don't you kick us off?
All right. I have hardly watched any movies all year, and then I watched 2 this weekend. So we made it out to the theaters to see the Super Mario Bros. Movie. My expectations were pretty low, but I was expecting great things out of the Peaches song. And I feel like my expectations were blown out of the water on both accounts. So
I really enjoyed it. Like, we might have to like circle back and do like whenever it like drops on streaming, we might need to do like a spoiler cast for it, because like we didn't really have a time to chat about it as a cast. But like, I thought it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it.
it was so fun. Like, no complaints. It was just a really good, fun time. I think all the voice acting was great. The Peaches song is amazing, and I've
Amazing.
just been like listening to it nonstop since. And Lumily is like, I love.
Mm-hmm. I need to go over on Cameron Plus Deanna. I have a soundboard for the streams, and there's several Lumily quotes that I want to get for the soundboard. Like, I already have like 3 like Hello Darkness kind of things, because I have Hello Darkness, Sad Trombone, and My Cabbages. And I think I'm gonna get rid of one of those for a Lumily quote. I think I need it. The character is so much fun.
Really? It was so good. I felt it in my soul, and it was like, do I cry or laugh? It's too good.
Mm-hmm. It was also one of the things for me that I expected the joke to get old, and it did not. Like, every time that character shows up, it is fantastic, and they have such like great moments.
Yep. It is perfect. Just perfect. Yeah, and then I also watched Silence by Martin Scorsese, based on our last book club read.
What did you think of this?
Um,
I'm very curious. I know you like posted some good stuff, but like what did you think?
yeah, so I think this is one of the best book adaptations I have ever seen in my life. Like, I have very few complaints, and my complaints are like barely even complaints. I think like the cast was amazing. Um, like, you got Liam Neeson, Andrew Garfield, and name escaping me, but Kylo Ren.
Adam Driver.
Yep, that one. Um, they're all great. the use of sound was super good throughout, as you would expect from silence. Um, yeah, I think it's obviously a very overtly faith-based story, and that was all handled really well and really respectfully, and yeah, it was really good. There were some lines that I remembered were like direct quotes from the book, which was very cool. Basically, my one of my complaints is that there's like one line from the end of the book that I really wish had been in there, and it wasn't. But I feel like that's getting real nitpicky, so
I did not realize until you posted like the cover art for this how recent this movie was. And I guess I
yeah.
just like never Googled it and looked. But like when you posted the cover and I saw Garfield, Driver, and Neeson, I was like, what? I was super confused. Like I had thought that like, I mean, relatively recent, but like I was not expecting like 2016 recent. I was expecting like mid 2000s or something. And I was just like, I was so shocked when I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like reading his intro to the book, I was like, oh, he made a movie. That must be old. Then I look it up. I'm like, oh, what? Andrew Garfield? Can't be that old.
Yeah. As he was prepping for Tick Tick Boom or something like that. But yeah, that's super cool. I'm glad it was a good adaptation. Like that was definitely, as someone who has gone on record that the book is a big sad. Um, I'm glad that they adapted it well, even though if it makes me scared to watch it because of said big sad.
I think it's not as bad as the book. One of my complaints is like a slight spoiler for a change that they made from the book to the movie. But I think whereas the book ends on like a, huh, okay, that was depressing.
That's a downer.
The movie is a bit more hopeful, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it was really good. And also this weekend, on Free Comic Book Day on Saturday, my library hosted a Comic-Con. And as I have started volunteering there, I got to help out with that, which was super fun. The first half of the day I spent outside at an info booth for the library at a charity race, and the wind was wild that day, and it was awful. Um, Luckily, we got to go inside pretty soon, and then I got to be at the welcome desk inside, directly across from all the Mandalorians. I got to watch them take pictures with everybody. That was super fun.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
Did you like? So what were they doing for the Comic Con? Like, how were they like?
Yeah, they had like a bunch of different events throughout. So they had some Padawan training. They had a Pokemon terrarium building. They had a
Oh, that's so
Lego
cool.
competition. They had a K-pop dance class. They had a little like anime cafe. They had some anime viewing. Um, I can't remember what else, but yeah, they had a lot going on
That's
throughout the day.
awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. And
I'm
then they had a
insanely jealous.
table of the free comic books there as well. So
Did you? This will we can segue into what I got up to with this as well. But did you get any of the free comic books? And if so, do you know which ones you grabbed?
I snagged most of the ones that were on the table. I was very excited about the Animal Crossing one. Um, I can't remember what else. There's like a Star Trek one and like a Star Wars one. I don't know. There's one called like The Cursed Library. I don't know what it's about, but obviously I was going to take it.
Yeah, that is like literally your vibe. So,
right. I can't remember what else I grabbed. I haven't even had a chance to look through them yet. I was just like, yep, 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 yep.
yeah, you go off aesthetics. Again, I've said this before. If they didn't want us to judge books by their cover, they would not make cool covers. So, it's all just what's the vibe. So,
and it was super cool as I was standing by the table as well. You see like a lot of people coming in, they're like, oh, comics, like seeing their different reactions was like interesting. And then one mom was like, yeah, grab all the comics you want. Comics count as reading. Like, this is how you get them to love reading. And I'm like, yes, go mom.
You tell them, Mom. That's awesome. So for me, I completely forgot it was free comic book day until the end of the day when Shanine said it was. So admittedly, I was not able to get the one free comic that I wanted, which was the Marvel Spider-Man one. But I picked up, what is this? Shaman King. I picked up the Uncanny Avengers. And then I picked up the Sacrificers. Those are the three that I picked up. I have read all three of them. The Sacrificers is super interesting. Don't really know what it's about, but it has these cool Ifrit looking things. And I am like super in. Let me see if I can find a picture. Like this is like, I don't know if he's like the king or something, but like he's on like a flying carpet and I'm like all in. And so I think once these come out in trades, I might need to pick this up. It seems super cool. And I'm very interested in that. And in chat, Sneaky Pigs pops in. Welcome. Picked up Spider-Man 2, the Star Trek comic, and Son picked up Uncanny Avengers, but hasn't read it yet. I really liked the Uncanny Avengers one. I have no clue what's really happening in Marvel Comics other than like what I've seen in some random videos. I just don't keep up with it as much as I would like to, but it seemed super interesting. It seems like they're kind of kicking off like the next big plot point with the plot. Wow. I talk on a podcast regularly. They're kicking off the next major plot point for like the year or something like that. And so I'm really interested in how that's going to go. It definitely made me want to pick back up the Marvel Unlimited. So maybe we need to do another book club so that I can justify getting a month of Marvel Unlimited and then read a whole bunch of comics in that month. So Sinead, you will have to keep us updated as you read through those comics. And listeners, if you're like Sneaky Pigs and you have picked something up for Free Comic Book Day, let us know what you got and what you thought about it. Some other stuff from me. Started watching Star Wars Visions Volume 2. We're about halfway through it, and I tweeted about this. Like, I feel like Star Wars Visions is the exact thing that I want from the Star Wars IP. Like, every single episode, I am just like, cool, give this, like, greenlight this studio to make a miniseries. Like, and for people that don't know, the idea of Star Wars Visions Volume 1 was that they got a bunch of Japanese anime companies, and they were presumably given some sort of prompt, but they were all given the IP and said, do whatever you want with it. It doesn't have to tie in. It doesn't have to like make sense in like the wider narrative. It is just like make something fun that's inspired by Star Wars. And so for the first one, I had misremembered this, but for the first one, they're all Japanese studios. And then for this one, it's global. And so there's like the Wallace and Gromit people from the UK have an episode. I think it's Studio Trigger, who did Legend of Korra, has an episode. There's a company from Chile that has an episode. And so it's like they're really all over the place, and it's super cool to see all of those different takes on the IP. And like I said, I feel like every single one of these episodes just makes me wish that they would get a full series, even if it's not like my thing, like art style wise. Like the Wallace and Gromit one is cute, but like that's like this is fun, but not my thing. But man, after that episode, I'd give them a mini series, give them 4 episodes, let them flesh out these characters some more. Like, oh man, I just love it so much. And I was thinking about this. I was talking about it in the stream this morning with Nate from Checkpoint Church, and as I thought about it throughout the day, I think for me, it's like in the age of everything is a tie-in with something else. Like when you get something that like gets to be free from all of the baggage, it's just like, hey, do whatever you want. Like, I don't know if you watched it, but did you see House of the Dragon? Okay. So I think that was part of why I enjoyed that so much, because like, while there is like source material for it, my understanding from the book is that it's presented as from an unreliable narrator. And so they basically just had to be able to tie in anything that they did with, well, what happened is not what history remembered, kind of thing. And so it was super fun in that regard. It helps that it was actually well done, unlike, the last season of Game of Thrones. It was well done. The story was just awful. But shout out to all the people that did some really good work with not a really great script. But I think that was part of why I enjoyed it so much. Is like it was so disconnected, even though it was like in the universe. And that's how Star Wars Visions feels to me. It's just like this super disconnected. And it's just like one thing that Deanna said as we were watching is anime has this way of making super mundane things look really cool. And I'm just like, yeah. And it's so cool in Star Wars. Would you watch a feature-length anime Star Wars movie, Shanine?
Oh, heck yeah.
I feel like it'd be such
Absolutely.
a cool one. And I've talked for a bit. Have you seen Visions?
The first season, not any of the new stuff yet, but I am really looking forward to it.
Definitely. Again, I'm about halfway through. I think we finished episode 5 out of 9, like literally right before the podcast tonight. And so definitely recommend. And maybe we'll do a spoiler cast on that as well once. Maybe we can do that next week or the week after or something if people are able to get there. But yeah, it's such a good show. I'm so in. And then from there, normal gaming stuff, Magic the Gathering, Meet Your Maker, working on that platinum. I got back into Phantom Brigade, which I feel like is like the game I'm never out of, but that's like the tactical mech game. And I'm just like, you know what I'm feeling today? Mechs. And I just get right back into it. And so really enjoying being back into that until I like accidentally go against a unit like 3 levels above me and then can't deal any damage to it. So that was kind of got gypped there, but so but yeah, so that's what we have been up to. Again, let us know what you've been up to, specifically around that free comic book day, if you picked any of those up, and if any of them are going to motivate you to pick them up later once they're fully out. So let's get into our main topic for this week. We are going to be chatting spoiler-free thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We're doing spoiler-free because A, Shanine hasn't seen it yet, and Emma obviously couldn't be here today. But also just kind of wanted to give us some spoiler-free overview. So I'll be chatting through some of my thoughts on it. There's a lot of discourse going around the movie, which is really good. And it's kind of always interesting to hear people's different takes on it. And so, but yeah, so I will say kind of kicking off, to me, this is the best Marvel movie we've had since No Way Home. and I think is my number 2 since Endgame. And I feel like some of its strengths are James Gunn really understands these characters that he wanted to bring. Like, wow, surprise. But like, he really understands a lot of these characters and how to make them interesting. And I also feel like this movie, kind of like No Way Home, does really well because it builds on the strength of the previous movies. And while I don't necessarily, I guess you could say, agree with a lot of the Phase 4 and Phase 5 hate, I feel like some of the biggest struggles that we've seen for some of those movies is they do not feel like they've built well on those other films that we've had. Doctor Strange kind of being a good example, where it both didn't really feel like it built off Doctor Strange that great, and it also didn't feel like it built off of WandaVision that great. And then later we find out that the writers hadn't even had a chance to see WandaVision. And so, like, there's that, which makes sense, like, production wise, but like feels like you should have gotten them a script or something. Yeah, so it definitely feels like a great conclusion to the Guardian story. Definitely in a way that doesn't write out where those characters can be in the future. Should people want to come back, or presumably some of them are coming back from post-credit scenes and stuff, but without getting into anything, again, too spoilery there. And so I really liked it for that. Overall, the story is really good. I really liked the High Evolutionary as the main protagonist. This is a character that, Shanine, I don't know if you have any clue who this is. I had heard of this character, but I've never read any comics that they're in. I had really no idea who they were. But basically their whole idea is that they are trying to create perfect species and create a perfect world. So like, they're very kind of in the same way that like Thanos was really cool, because Thanos was imposing, but he was also philosophical. I feel like High Evolutionary kind of falls into that same idea of like, he was a mad scientist, but like wasn't like, he's not like cackling evil. And so I really liked his performances through all of that, and felt like a really cool villain. Again, without getting into anything spoilery, I feel like there's ways that they can tie in, if they wanted to, that character with some other stuff. And I'm hopeful that we'll might get some more references because of some, they did a little bit of, I don't even know if retconning is the right word. But they did some retcons to tie the High Evolutionary in with some other stuff that's been going on. And so I thought that was really well done. And I think makes it very interesting. Other characters, we get Adam Warlock finally. And I've seen some complaints from Adam Warlock fans that he is not the representation from the comics, which fair. From my understanding of that character, he is definitely not. I loved this take on him. Again, I say as someone who doesn't really have a lot of baggage there. I've read some of the stuff that Adam Warlock is in. He's in the Guardians video game as well. And I really liked this character. I feel like it was very well played, very goofy in like the Guardians way. But also in a way that like made sense for what was going on with that character. And so, yeah, I liked that a lot. And then for our Guardians, I liked the drama of having 2014 Gamora way more than I anticipated. Like, that performance was like all around, the performances around Gamora I thought were really well, or did really well. Both like Zoe's herself, as well as like the other cast interacting with that version of her that is not their version of her. I thought all of that was super well done and was super interesting in a way that like made that character not feel like the character that we have or that we had, I guess, come Infinity War. And so I thought that was super cool as well. And then I was going to say, for Rocket gets a lot of character development. I liked it. The MCU Rocket is the reason that I hated video game Rocket. That character felt super like Super Guardians 1, but for like 10 hours, and I was just super over it. Whereas this one, we get to see so much development over these movies that A+. And then the last thing I want to call out is that this does push the PG-13 rating. There's definitely some stuff that, like, I'll say is unsettling. There is, like, trigger warning, some, like, animal abuse type stuff going on. And there is, like, it doesn't... You see the results, you don't see it happen for a lot of it. And then there is some like science-y stuff that goes on. That can definitely be unsettling. And so just kind of as a call out there for people. I know like I've seen posts about that affecting people a whole bunch. I've seen posts about it. Like for me, it was just kind of like gross. Like, and I feel like it's kind of the idea of like we talked about this in our Doctor Strange spoiler cast. We can like raise our hands so I can find this later. Doctor Strange spoiler cast. That part of I think why the jump scares in that movie got me was because it wasn't really scary. Like it felt like it wasn't trying to be a horror film until it was like bam, horror film jump scare. And so I feel like this kind of had that same result. That I think if the stuff in this movie was in a horror movie, it would not, like, no one would really care. It would just be like, ew, gross. But the fact that it's in a Marvel movie is kind of what is unsettling to people. For the stuff that, you know, isn't the implied animal abuse. So, but yeah. And so again, super enjoyed. Shanine, chat, if you have any questions about the movie or any comments, let me know. We can kind of like circle back and talk about some stuff. But Shanine, kind of pass it to you. Any questions as someone who has not seen the movie yet?
I feel like you answered some of them already. Like thoughts on Adam Warlock. And how it stacks up in the new phases. I guess, how does it stack up as a Guardians movie?
So I feel like this is hard to answer. And because I haven't seen 1 and 2 in a while. And so, so there is that. But I feel like, again, it's like if you build on shoulders of giants, like, I feel like for me, it's Guardians 1, close behind it, this one, and then Guardians 2. I feel like that's my order. And I definitely can see, like, the emotion. This movie hit way more emotionally for me. Again, because we've built up with these characters over almost 10 years at this point for the Guardians crew. If not actually 10 years. And so I feel like Guardians 1 is kind of like a fun romp. Whereas like this one is a fun romp that also has a super like big emotional heart. And so, and so, yeah, I feel like that's where I would put it now if I had to rate them in a vacuum. But if I was going to, again, it's hard to say if I was going to go watch one, which one would I go and watch? Because if we have this trilogy, I'm going to go watch the whole trilogy. And so, what was I going to say? Oh, I have seen some fun theories for how Adam Warlock and some of the other characters might tie in to future projects. I don't want to share them here because they are a bit spoilery, but there is some interesting ideas of what could occur. And so, especially for how things could tie in with wherever we're going to go for phase 5. Like, we'll see what's going to happen now. But, yeah. Oh, I didn't say this. Nebula, also chef's kiss, as always. Karen playing that role very well. In chat, Sneaky says, I read that someone said that what made this movie really good is it's a James Gunn movie first, and then it's a Marvel movie instead of the reverse. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Like, this definitely feels like James Gunn having fun and doing what he wants to do. And then that happening to be a Marvel movie versus the other way around. IMO, like, that was the problem, or one of the many problems with Doctor Strange 2, is it's like this weird place between a Sam Raimi movie and also having to handle all of this other stuff. And so I feel like this one carried the weight of like the director's vision a lot better. And that was part of why it shined. We also get the first MCU F-bomb. And so, which apparently I was like watching some interview stuff. Apparently there was going to be one in Endgame, and they were talking to the Russo brothers were talking to Feige about it, and like they decided they didn't want that to be their legacy, as being an Endgame. And then when Feige was recounting this to James Gunn, he's like, "Are you trying to talk me into it?" He was like, "This is what I like. Like, I'm ready." Like, so, but I will say I laughed. I thought it was well done. Yeah, it also, you know, it sounds weird. It makes me excited for DC. Like, I'm excited for what, like, I think we know that there's already a script for Superman that James Gunn wrote. And so it makes me very excited to see what he's going to do with that character. And makes me pretty excited for where that could go with him being in charge. So, yeah. Hopefully at some point we'll do a spoiler cast. We'll be able to kind of dig into a bit more of these things without having to necessarily dance around stuff as much. But until then, any other questions, Shanine?
I don't think so. I had another question, but I feel like you answered that one as well, which was, what are the vibes and am I going to cry?
Yeah, there are vibes.
Yeah.
I would say this is not a big sad, but there is definitely a sad. And so, yeah, this is definitely not silence, but like, there is definitely a sad. So that is going to be our main topic for this week. Let us know what you thought about Guardians down in the comment section if you're watching over on YouTube. And then let's get to the news. Shanine, you got 2 things for us this week.
I guess we'll start with the sad one. An iconic Canadian actress, Patricia Hamilton, died on April 30th. Best known for playing Rachel Lynde in the Anne of Green Gables series. And I didn't know this until now, but not only did she play it in the like famous Megan Follows Anne of Green Gables series, she also voiced Rachel Lynde in an animated series as well. So she just like embodied Rachel Lynde, and I love that. Mm-hmm. But she was 86, and very sad to lose her.
I'm scrolling through her IMDb. I'm curious if there's anything. that I recognize. I have not seen anything jump out. Which I feel like is accurate for my movie tastes of like I am by no means like a super diverse movie watcher. So
I also feel like she was probably bigger in Canada than she was in the States, but
then what else you got for us this week?
else I got for us on the happier side is Taylor Swift announced that Speak Now Taylor's version will be coming out on July 7th. Swifties get pumped.
Yeah. Will you be dropping everything now?
Oh yeah. I'm so excited. I have a friend who is also super into Taylor Swift, and we've been freaking out about it. She started to play the Speak Now album today, and I was like, oh man, Taylor sounds so young in these songs. I'm
2010.
just like, I'm so excited to hear what like updated versions of these songs are gonna sound like.
Yeah, I'm super interested in this one as well. I feel like this is one of the albums that I have the least connection to. Like, which is kind of weird because I feel like it was the same with Red. I feel like those are the ones that I missed. And so like for those, I really only know the main singles from the albums. Like back in December and Sparks Fly. But I'm super excited for this. And I've loved all the Taylor's versions. I like her getting to... I like both what they stand for, but I also love the... like getting to have an artist that can just be like, you know what? We're coming back to these songs. We're not doing them the same. We are going to do whatever we want with these and mix them up in a lot of interesting ways. Especially like kind of to your point about her sounding so young in this, like she is in a very different place now, as we saw with like no matter how popular she was, we were never going to get 10-minute All Too Well in the original Red. But like where she's at now, you know what? Drop the full 10-minute song. Like, let's go. And so I'm just very interested in like both how she's been able to like embrace her growth as a performer and as an artist, but also tie everything in with these things that people have cared about so much. It's crazy to me how excited people are about all of these re-releases, and like just that people are so excited for every single one. Like Deanna's very big in the like the TikToks where people are like talking about theories and trying to figure out and piece everything together and all that kind of stuff. And so it makes me so happy. And I'm just like, yeah, like again, like even if these are like the specific ones that I'm not like huge in, I'm very excited to kind of get to like discover these albums kind of for the first time. And so you have a favorite?
There will be 6 new songs being released from the vault as well. So excited.
Again, I'm so excited for whatever that's going to be. Do you have a favorite song off Speak Now?
I gotta look it up.
I can go through the list. I got it. So if you want me to read it through it. So it's Mine, Sparks Fly, Back to December, Speak Now, Dear John, Mean, The Story of Us, Never Grow Up, Enchanted.
Oh, I love Enchanted.
Better Than Revenge, Innocent, Haunted,
Good.
Last Kiss, and Long Live.
Ugh, they're all good. um, I do really love Enchanted. Haunted is also good. It depends. It depends what mood I'm in when I go to listen to this one. It's like, do we want mine or do we want Dear John? They're they're very different. Yeah, always Enchanted. You?
Um, I probably Sparks Fly if I had to pick one. Um, I do like Enchanted. Again, I was like, I feel like I don't recognize a lot of these songs, and then like going through the list, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And it's like again, a lot of these are like, maybe I just like didn't attribute them to this album, that kind of thing. But I definitely need to go through and do a pass, and kind of get the vibe for what the initial songs were, and then come through and listen to the actual album once it drops. So that might be my July 6th. Might be listening through Speak Now, and then July 7th listening through the whole thing. I feel like Dear John is one. I feel like it's a song that I feel like I don't like, and then every time I listen to it, I really enjoy it. And like, it's like I don't know where I have that like preconceived notion in my head that I don't like that song, but like every time I do listen to it, I do really enjoy that one. In some other Taylor Swift news, we talked about this a little bit before the start of the show, but you heard about the Nashville concert yesterday as of recording, but / this morning as of recording.
Yes.
So for people that don't know, there was a huge storm that passed through Nashville for Taylor's Sunday night show, and had to have a 4-hour rain delay. And instead of sending home fans, like she stayed and performed in the rain all 45 songs and did like the full set in like literal storm, and apparently had to pay fines because it was so late. Like, and I guess like it's an outdoor stadium, so like noise violation stuff, like because the concert went till 1:30 in the morning, which they must have started earlier than we did because we finished at 11:30. And so I feel like if they were going till 1:30, that doesn't make sense for a 4-hour delay, or I just don't remember how time worked and I have my times off, which could also be reasonable. But yeah, shout out to her for doing the full set. Like when I saw a post about it, I read it as 45 minutes, and I was like, hey, props to them. Like they got what they could get done given the weather. And then I read it again. It's like, no, full 45-minute set, like a 45 song set. That's insane. I hope everyone stays healthy.
Yeah.
Like both performers and concert goers. But that's crazy. Maybe we should just have indoor stadiums, like just as a thought. Do you have any crazy weather stories for concerts or like outdoor shows in general, if not a concert?
Coming to mind, I feel maybe like some sporting events. We have this big like hockey classic where a bunch of the old hockey players will get together and form teams and play. And I think in grade 5, my class won tickets to go see it. But it was like -30 at an
Oof.
outdoor hockey rink. Um, it was not a good time.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Yep.
Uh, so that's gonna make mine sound really dumb, but like, um, I feel like we always had weird ones, like for a marching band, where like the weather was just like we would have games that were so hot that we couldn't wear our uniforms. And then it's like, then we would have games where, again, on the scale of -30 Celsius, we're not that cold, but like we would have games where, I don't know, it was just like so cold and like barely above freezing to the point that like certain people couldn't use their instruments because of like the weather. And it was just like, well, here we are just hanging out in the stands being cold. Um, and so I don't know. Like I feel like there's that side of it, and then of course like any like a music event in this or outdoor event in the summer is just like miserable temperature wise here. So like a lot of stuff with like concerts around like this Texas State Fair. Just like whenever they would have performers, it's always just like it's a 50-50 on like is it gonna be hot or is it gonna be like unbearable. And you kind of have to hope you're going on a day that's like decent. Yeah. Trying to think. I'm trying to think of any when I was in Connecticut where like the weather was like specifically bad. We had some where we were like traveling to youth rallies and stuff like that and not great weather, or we couldn't go because of bad weather. But I'm trying to think if there was anything for. Like I feel like there were some sporting events that were outside and were very cold, but like again, I feel like it wasn't. A lot of the students that we had up there were either into indoor sports or um, they did sports when it was warmer outside. So I don't feel like we really had to deal with it or I really had to deal with it. They of course did for practice and stuff like that, but I don't know. So then question for you here out of this, would you have stayed through the 4-hour rain delay?
For Taylor Swift, yes, I think I would have.
Yeah. I think I'm in a similar point. If nothing else, for like we spent so much money on these tickets, like we're here. If they're not canceling, we're not leaving.
Yeah.
And one thing I was talking to Deanna about with it was like I feel like that's the thing where as long as you can keep a positive attitude for it, you have an awesome story. But like the second that you start like getting down and getting bummed out, it's just like, oh man, this is a miserable experience that is going to now go till 1:30 in the morning. And so, but yeah, I feel like I'm definitely too cheap to have left. Like that's the,
Awesome.
again, so we paid too much money to not stick around. So. I feel like you just, it's a Taylor Swift concert. I feel like you just hang out, somebody puts on music, and you all just jam to some songs. Like, have a little mini concert. Like,
Oh, for sure.
with that, I guess let's go ahead and wrap episode 233 of First Geek 411. Do want to say, end of the month, we are going to be doing our book club, which I forgot to put in the show notes, so pause while I get there. We're going to be doing Finn Family Moona Troll by Jove Jansen. And we'll be doing that on May 25th. And so if you haven't started reading like me, probably get to that future Cameron when you edit this. And so, yeah, end of the month we will be doing that. And so next week we'll be back, possibly with a spoiler cast of some sort, possibly with just hanging out and chatting, maybe some games. But as we go into our post-show chat, as always, you can find us on our social media as OneGeek411. You can also join our Discord server if you would like to chat between shows. And then you can find us over on Redbubble for that merch. You can watch live on Twitch, 6:45 Mountain Time, part of the post-show chats, and find the video over on our YouTube. And then you can also find us at our personal social media. Mine is Humar Whittle.
And Howl on Twitter, and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES on Instagram.
And it's been a great week.
Read a book.